Mexico's on track for the country's deadliest year in at least 2 decades, 30,000 murders. Are any of the candidates laying out a clear strategy of how to deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, the front-runner, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, he has mentioned that he will create a National Guard, where he more or less will unify the efforts of the Army and the Navy in fighting the cartels. The main issue or the main problem that he will face is that the current levels of high drug-related violence are actually more related to the dynamics of the battles that these groups have for the control of drug trafficking, extortion, cargo, and hydrocarbon theft. So the government might, in a way, continue with the strategy of having the army fighting these groups, but they don't have the manpower to really effectively control the entire territory. And these battles and this violence will continue regardless of who is elected.
I mean, when it comes to AMLO, as you said there, who's currently has or said to have a comfortable lead according to certain polls, I mean, what he's promising actually realistic?
Well, he's promising many things on different areas. You know, in terms of security, it'll be very difficult to resolve the current situation. The strategy that your colleague mentioned on providing amnesty to certain groups has been tested in Colombia. It really doesn't work because there are too many of these groups in there, and it'll be difficult to find a solution. Everything is driven by obviously, the fragmentation of these groups and all of them trying to obtain control over different lucrative businesses. But on the other hand, when you come to the economy or the business environment, there are different situations there. He's actually promising a government of austerity, but at the same time, he's promising subsidies and increased spending on pensions, for example. And there are a lot of contradictions in terms of what he's promising and what he will deliver.
I mean, when it comes to his closest competitor, Ricardo Anaya, does he have a clearer strategy of how to deal with the violence that Mexico is facing?
They're talking about making regulatory changes to strengthen the state's capacity to fight the cartels, going against corruption, trying to address the issue of the local police forces, either strengthening them or, if not, creating a unified single command to pretty much improve coordination between these groups. But overall, none of them have come up with real long-term strategies of addressing the situation, which involve addressing the issue of poverty, generating jobs for young population that would be an alternative to them joining organized crime, and everything will continue to be driven by these dynamics of these groups. No?
I mean, these elections are being billed as pivotal to Mexican society, not least because this president, or the newly elected president, is going to have more power than Enrique Peña Nieto. Talk us through how that's going to work.
Yeah, certainly. As we speak, a new poll was released that actually gives him a 30% voting lead for the elections. And we think that this is key because the larger his margin of victory, the more that he will feel emboldened to deliver for his support base. And this will have different implications, particularly in terms of the business environment. If he indeed has a large margin of victory, it is highly likely that he will move ahead with his plans to, for example, review contracts that have been awarded in infrastructure, in energy, and also to target something or a group of people that he has repeatedly mentioned during the campaign, which he labels as a mafia of power. Where he would probably like to tax them or review contracts that have been awarded to them. One quick question is that whether he will be able to transfer his current popularity to his party. Because if he does that, he will be able to have also a large representation in Congress that will make it easier for policy implementation. Having said that, it looks very unlikely that he will get 2/3 in Congress, which is the required minimum that he needs to reverse some of the pro-market reforms that have been implemented by this current administration.
OK, Cardenas speaking to us from London. Thanks for your time today.